Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to express my thanks to you and to our witnesses today for coming before us on a matter of such great importance. As you know, I've often said on the House floor that funding the government and keeping it open is one of the most important duties members of the House face. As such, I'm glad to see my colleagues in the majority making an effort to pass funding bills and to reopen the entire government. But that being said, I do think these bills are misguided and do not represent a serious effort to resolve the crisis we're currently facing. Let's take a look at what the majority is actually proposing. They're putting forward 4 appropriations bills for consideration this week, covering the transportation and housing and urban development, financial services and general government, agriculture and FDA, and interior and environment titles. All 4 of these were included in the package the House passed last week on a closed rule. Furthermore, all 4 of these bills represents the Senate work product on the FY19 appropriations. They do not take into account any of the work of the House Appropriations Committee did in putting together the FY19 bills. They do not reflect any of the work product of the conference committees appointed to iron out the differences between the House and Senate versions. In short, they do not represent any input at all from the House of Representatives. And they are again coming to the floor on a closed rule, which means that once again, the House will have no input at all into the appropriation process. I also note that the Senate has made it clear they will not pass these bills as written. The President made it clear he will not sign them into law. Given that we've already passed these bills, but the Senate won't pass them and the President won't sign them, why then are we here? What do we hope to accomplish? I would ask this of my friends in the majority. Have you had any positive conversations with the Senate on these bills? Are they now willing to consider these, either as part of a package or as standalone bills? Has Leader McConnell agreed to take this bill up on its own term? Has the President agreed to sign this bill into law if it passes? I think the answers to each of those questions is no. And if that's the case, then unfortunately this is clearly a political exercise in futility. Mr. Chairman, as you know, I've been a member of the Appropriations Committees for 10 years, and I understand that it's hard to have a full process on appropriations bills, but it is indeed possible, even when funding bills carry over into a new year or even a new majority. In early 2011, right after Republicans took majority control of the House, we considered a bill on the floor to fund the entire federal government, and we did it under an open rule. When we considered that bill on the floor, 162 amendments were offered from both sides of the aisle, and we had a grand total of 66 hours of floor debate on the bill, stretching over almost 5 days. Given the amount of time we used in 2011, I fully understand what an enormous undertaking it would be. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't take time now. Unless you can tell me that the President's going to sign this bill into law, then there's plenty of time for thoughtful debate and time to hear ideas from all members of the House. I'd also point out that this package of bills doesn't address the fundamental issue, which is that of border security. Time and again, the American people have told us that they want more border security. None of these bills will address that problem. I do think that rather than putting forward bills that have already passed, the majority would do better to negotiate with Republicans and come up with solutions that serve all Americans. Mr. Chairman, in closing, I would just add that while I appreciate the good intentions in bringing forward these bills to fund government, I don't think the package before us today is sufficient. With only a closed rule and no House input on this package, members are being given only a take it or leave it option. And until we can work toward a real bipartisan solutions to open the government and fund border security, I would prefer to leave it. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
No, and I thank the gentleman. I appreciate his comments about a more open process, and I hope that that's the process we will follow.